I was a huge horror movie chick when I was younger. All of the scary movies I would watch, I used to watch the show A Haunting or whatever. I legit would set my alarm on my phone to remind me when the shows were coming on. I was so addicted to the adrenaline that I would get from the movies. It would scare the crap out of me. And it gave me so much anxiety. Like, I had a really hard time sleeping when I was little. I had a really hard time going to bed. So falling asleep, staying asleep, really scary for me. I would sleep with my sister and I would have to touch her. Like, literally my foot would be touching her foot in order for me to fall asleep. And sometimes that wouldn't even be good enough. I would just be laying awake, so scared, so anxious, mind racing, heart pumping, all of that stuff. And so when it was to that point where I couldn't sleep, I would go fall asleep in my grandma's bed and sleep with her for the night. And it's just so sad because I had so much anxiety looking back now that I realize what it was. I had no clue what it was back then. I just knew that I was constantly scared around the whole situation with bedtime. And eventually I wasn't acting out as much. My grandma got me into basketball. It was like the YMCA basketball for extracurricular in middle school. And then my sister and I, we started going to a church. We started going to youth group every Wednesday. And so just having those extra activities in my life preoccupied me and gave me an outlet just gave me an outlet for me dealing with my stuff and just gave me a distraction to what was really going on. Honestly, I really just needed therapy, but we never got it. As I mentioned before, me dealing with my stuff was just acting like it never happened. So basically, when we moved to Oregon, I just acted like none of my childhood with my mom happened. It was like, okay, moving on, we're moving on. I had a normal middle school experience. I had a normal high school experience. That was really good. And then I got my first real boyfriend, I guess you can say. I had so much anger towards guys, towards men in general, that I didn't really understand. My first real boyfriend, I actually slapped him across the face. Yeah, because he was talking badly about my friend and he was making fun of her in front of me, and it just made me really mad, and I legit slapped him. And it's the craziest thing because it was like an automatic response. I was shocked just as much as he was when it happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never done it before. And obviously we broke up. I mean, if you got slapped by your girlfriend, you wouldn't want to be with her anymore either. But it's funny though, because with my first boyfriend in high school, he didn't live too far away from me, and somehow we got the idea that me sneaking out to his house would be a good idea in the middle of the night. Oh my gosh. And so I actually snuck out to his house. I don't know if it was on school night or if it was on the weekend, but I snuck out super late when my uncle was already in bed, cracked the window open, jumped out the back, and walked to his house. And my grandma actually caught me. It was so funny. She caught me when I was walking on the way home. Somehow she had gotten up really early and she was looking out the kitchen window. So like from our neighborhood, we lived on the end of the road. And so from our kitchen window, you could literally see down the whole road. And she saw me walking. And sure enough, I thought she saw me way before she did. And so I'm like, oh shoot, I'm caught. And so I walk up to the door and she's like, what are you doing? Where did you come from? And she didn't even punish me. She literally just said, hey, Danny, don't do that again. Don't tell your uncle, because if you tell your uncle, you're going to get in huge trouble. He's going to be really mad. And that was the end of it. I didn't sneak out again. I stopped doing that. Yeah, that was actually kind of funny thinking about that. the way my uncle disciplined us. So my grandma was the sole provider for us, and my uncle actually stayed home to watch us, make sure that we were good. He was never physical with us, but he was really loud and yelled all the time, and he always made us clean. That was his thing. He always made us stay home and clean. I remember on the weekends, we would have to pick up stuff on the floor with our hands. He wouldn't even let us use the vacuum. He wouldn't let us use the broom. It was the most annoying thing ever. I'm like, why can't we just use the broom? Why can't we just clean up that way? But that was our way of him disciplining us for whatever we did, which honestly, I gotta give him credit for, because it's better than being physically abusive. And I'll be honest, I was not nice to him. I challenged him on everything. I had a really bad attitude. He yelled at me. I yelled back. I would slam doors. I would not back down to him. Never. I gave him the runaround. I was your typical teenager with a bad attitude, and I would not listen to him. It was kind of like, if you want to yell at me, go for it. Like, I'll match you and more kind of thing. So yeah, I did not make it easy for him to parent me, that's for sure.